Hello, my name is Mike. I'm joined by Ray. Hello, Ray.
Hello, Mike.
This is Unscripted Gaming. Josh isn't here. He's has been forced to play cards for his life at the hands of an ancient, mysterious creature
Okay.
trapped in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to get him out.
Oh, is that
The
what
only
we're
way
doing?
with it, and the only way we can save him and his soul is to, one, ensure that he is baptized, and two, do a spoiler cast about a game called Inscryption on today's episode.
Can I drop some
I hope
nukes real quick?
Absolutely.
PC Gamer. Okay, let's not bury the lead. This is one of my favorite games of 2021. PC Gamer gave this game a 69 out of 100, and I have no idea what the hell their problem is.
You know, punk rock isn't dead, man. We don't need, you know, you don't need the 10 out of 10 score to have a game of the year type of experience, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's so let's talk about this game. What is Inscryption? What makes it really good, and why am I having such a negative reaction to some large publications' very shockingly low score? Like, it's above medium, but it's like not much above medium.
Yeah, I guess a couple of notes here. Happy holidays to you and yours. Happy winter solstice. Happy Honda days to those who celebrate.
All right, yeah.
And
For those of you that
and a happy new year.
it was a December to remember for a lot of people. That, man, this is an aside, and I know we shouldn't do this, but I want to meet the insane person that like gift bow tie wraps a damn car to their loved one and says like "Merry Christmas," and it's like a fucking Lexus or something like that.
Do you see the houses in those commercials though?
Yeah.
If you live in that kind of house, you can gift somebody a car without even thinking about it. I mean, that's at least That's at least a $2 million house. Easy.
No, you're not wrong.
If you live in anything even that could even possibly be mistaken as an Apple store, that's at least $3 million.
I guess it's like
it.
the type of people that buy like a Lexus for Christmas are not the type of people that are watching commercials that says like, "You've made your sale. I'm getting a Lexus for Christmas."
I know. Well, I think the most deranged thing I feel like the Mike and Ray podcast really venture off into places. In the way that we kind of feel like anytime there's all three of us, we kind of feel like we can't waste time. But anytime it's just two of us, it gets a little buttoned down here. But I asked my wife if I can have the last Hot Pocket. The thought of leasing and or purchasing a new vehicle, putting a bow on it, making her go outside on Christmas,
typically in the snow,
in the morning in her snow, and then be like, "Here's the new car you didn't ask for." Because who asks for a new car for Christmas? It's just insane.
As you pointed out, so
psychos.
the type of person that has the amount of money to drop 40 grand on a car as a Christmas present is the type of person that maybe you and I just don't associate with. Like, I don't know anyone in my life that just has that kind of fuck you money. I just don't.
No.
Is that a failing on my
Absolutely.
part? Maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps. I just,
I'm not rubbing the correct shoulders.
I apparently not. I don't know what to make of it. But anyways.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a video
suffice to
game.
say, if you're gonna buy a car, talk to your loved ones about it.
Yeah, if you have a partnership, maybe don't like drop tens of thousands of dollars and make like, what is the newest lease terms? Like 7-year long lease term commitment. Oh my god, I can't contemplate 7 years sometimes.
Yeah, it's like a 7-year lease term with like a 5%
5% APR
5% interest, and then at the end of it, to actually, it will automatically renew unless you can beat Davy Jones in a game of Skull Dice. Otherwise, you have to release and be a part of his ghostly crew.
Oh my gosh, leasing a vehicle? Like, it's not even your vehicle. It's like, no, we borrowed this vehicle for 2 to 3 years. We're making payments on it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, car culture weirds me out. Anyways, we were talking about a video game, I think.
Yeah, so we're going to spoil the absolute living crap out of this game. So, don't be a baby. I am, and this is something I will, I guess, kind of goes into something what I really liked about this game. So, I am Mr. I don't really care about spoilers. If your game is fun and is entertaining enough, and if the story is, well thought out and still interesting and meaningful, then the spoilers don't really matter. Like. If the reveal to like the Jack in the Box, coming out is still good, then it's not all contingent on that single twist. You know what I mean? Like if the only excitement you get from a story is like when the Jack in the Box, pop goes the weasel when that happens, then if that build up is essential, and just the act of that reveal. If that's the only thing that is interesting, then it kind of falls apart. Like my classic example of this as is The Usual Suspects. It has a fun twist.
The Usual
but
Suspects.
the movie's kind of the movie's kind of boring in my opinion. Once you know the twist, it's I don't know. It's just it doesn't do it. I don't think it's as effective. But I think this game has some really cool twists, and I think it does a really good job with those twists because each time there's because this game has like a 3-act structure, and each time you finish, well, first of all, you kind of figure out what's happening in Act 1, and just about the time that you've really mastered Act 1, which coincides with you defeating this person in their strange card game for your soul, all of a sudden the game completely changes. And not only just is there narratively a big twist, but so visually you're looking at an entirely different game. The mechanics are entirely different. The music is different. It's just each time there's like a big shift. The game itself just completely 180s. Like the ground level basics are still the same. Like you play cards, they play cards, is still there. But each one of these big shifts, I was always so excited because I knew that there was as soon as that kind of first I thought it was the end of the game, but then all of a sudden I realized there's a much bigger story happening here. And then by the time I kind of figured out this thing, I'm like, well, I bet there's going to be one more twist. I can't wait to see mechanically what they're going to do next. And it was, yeah, I adore this game. It's really special.
I will combat a little bit of what you said. And I do appreciate that we mentioned spoilers up front. I think there's a lot of stories that you could tell where if you know kind of how it ends or goes, there's still a wonderful story to be told. For example, I recently, for the first time ever, watched It's a Wonderful Life. And I kind of knew how it ends. Oh, when a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, that whole type of thing. But still, it's still 2 hours worth of movie, which is absurd for the time when that movie was shot. And
yeah,
it's now standard issue now. What have we done, people? I won't get
thumbs down.
Yeah,
thumbs down. React to the 2.25 hour or 3/4 hour movie.
We don't need to do
Make
this.
It stop.
But that movie is still really good because I didn't know the rest of the story that led up to that ending. This game, though, I feel going in blind is the best and possibly the only way to truly appreciate it. There are so many twists and turns that the twists and turns are the game, for better or worse.
Yeah, and I think, I want to kind of clarify what earlier. I think most of the times I don't really care about spoilers. This game was not spoiled for me, and I was thrilled that this was. I didn't really know what was going to happen, and I think I think the really cool thing is that with this game, like even though because I've beaten the game, I can go back to that first act, and even though I know what happens, just like mechanically, like the actual card game you're playing, where you're playing animals, animals or cards, they play cards and they kind of attack each other and have health points. Like, it's pretty basic when you explain it like that. Like, but just the core actual gameplay itself is really fun. And so even if I already know what's going to happen in these twists, like, I still want to engage with that kind of core mechanic. And that just, I think, the way that this game paired a really kind of fun central gameplay mechanic, or not mechanic, but like system, with a really interesting story told in really interesting ways, and just incredible like aesthetics and music, is just really cool. Like, I mean, I could just talk all day. Like, there's like part Blair Witch Project with like the camera recording stuff that you get interspersed between each act. There's just like the actual like Leshy's cabin, where you spend the first act in, is like this really like low 3D poly. It looks like it could run on a PlayStation 1.
I think that's what they were going for. I'm not in the game designer say it, but that's what it feels like.
It's a really good like less is more, because until you get to like the final part of the final chapter of the first act, you don't really you never see the actual character. You see his hands occasionally. You just see a pair of disembodied eyes. He doesn't have vocal dialogue. You just hear like a brrr, brrr, like a
resonation inside the microphone.
Just a really creepy sound anytime like his text, which is like what he's saying to you, shows up. And like the eyes go from just like eyes to like orange, like demonic spirals. It's just like the trappings of it are just like so spooky and scary. It's so good.
The thing that you're playing against, I don't even know if I want to give away the thing's name. They are very fair in that they constantly teach you the rules of the game, and they let you like, oh, okay, you got this, and oh, you got a pair of scissors as an item. You can cut up one of my cards. Doesn't matter, because like they're under the assumption that they are always going to win. But the thing that you could do in the game is they give you the opportunity to stand up and move around the cabin. In the cabin are little puzzles that you could do, and some of the cards start talking to you. And that part, like, first of all, that part like really tripped me up. Like, what? It's not like I thought like, oh no, it's a creepypasta game, because the game is coming off as like a very serious, super like creepypasta type of game. It's more like, where is this game going? Why are the cards talking to me now? Is my character insane? Why are the cards aware of what the creature in front of me is saying? And why is the creature letting the cards simply talk to me if they are also aware the cards are talking to me? It's like this constant back and forth of like, how on the level is this story? Where do I, the player, fit into this story? And does any of this kind of make sense to me? And there's a knife. I have to do something with it, and you have to stab yourself in a very very awful part.
Yeah, this game has some great moments that are just like, they're like kind of like where, you know, like when you're playing the card game and he's like, get up from the table, you're like, this isn't that kind of game. I just sit here and play cards and move my little character guy up the map. This is I guess for those who might not know, this game it's kind of a send up of, I guess, what you'd call like a deck building, like a card, like a deck of cards. Like you're building a deck of cards to fight or to challenge people in fights that are going to get sequentially harder as you go deeper on like a run. And then if you lose 2 times basically in this game, you then have to start at the beginning, just to kind of really basically throw it out there. So there's a lot of games that are kind of like this, that are like you're basically progressing on runs, you're getting more cards to your deck, you kind of build a strategy based on the cards you have in your deck. And then this game, all of a sudden, he's like, get up from the table. And it's just a great first little moment that you're like, that tells you that there's a lot of other things going on here. And this game is really good at throwing those, always kind of changing, like, I mean, do they do it through the narrative and just the reveals themselves? And just, they really keep you guessing, and it's super fun. Like, right, like you were saying, like you get a knife, and the description you get when you get the knife item is that, oh, it'll give you a lot of points. And you're like, okay, I don't know what that means. And then you're like, I need some points to win this. I think I'm just going to use that knife. And your character, this game is in first person, by the way, because you're moving around this cabin. You're like, the camera is you. But you take this knife, and it's very visceral. You stab your eye out, and that is a very unsettling thing to see. And like the sound and just audio is just, oh, it's horrible. It's like a good, just like a horror type thing that I was not expecting. It was just a really good kind of scare.
I never did.
This game is so cool.
There's one item that you get at the very beginning, the pliers to pull out a teeth to add one of your points. I never did use that item, so I don't know what that looks like. Because
you pull a tooth out of your mouth.
You just pull one gold tooth out, or is it not even gold?
It's a gold tooth.
Oh, you pull a gold tooth out of your mouth. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair. All right.
But yeah, so this is just and this is just like the vibe in Act 1, and it's like a really spooky. It's just a really good, cool aesthetic. Like, and I guess sidebar to mention here, the developer has added an endless mode to this game, that is basically just continues. Like you can just play forever in that first act, basically. Which I've only done like one run in it so far. But that is super cool, and I think a lot of fans have requested it, so it's cool that that's in beta right now. So that's pretty exciting.
You could do a run and complete it all the way in endless mode.
I did not complete it on my first run, so
okay.
I don't know, and I haven't looked into it too much, but
I did 2 runs in endless mode, and it's exactly what it said it was. It's like, yep, it just keeps going. And I did get a busted ass card. I sacrificed the Mantis for a card that was a wolf with a 6/6, so 6 attack, 6 damage. The Mantis god giving you a 3-way attack, and it had another symbol. The other symbol was submerge. So I turned my card over at the end of my turn. So I came up, hit you for like damn near 18 if you had no other cards, and then submerged if there was nothing else on the board.
That's quite literally an instant win card.
Yes, it was one of the. It was, if I drew it in enough time, the "fuck you, I win" card. The ultimate "fuck you, I win" card was when I got far enough in the game and got the Ouroboros. And
oh yeah,
when you figure out the trick with the Ouroboros, that's a card where when you sacrifice it, it goes back into your hand, but it comes back into your hand 1 point stronger. So if you sacrifice it at a 1/1, it comes back into your hand as a 2/2 with the same amount of ratings to draw it back out, which is 0. Or no, actually, it depends. It depends on what stage of the game that you're in. So I sent Mike a screenshot where I got my Ouroboros for no sane reason to a 46-46.
And to the listeners at home, let me make something clear. You need to score, I think, 10. I think you need to score 5 points more than your opponent.
Yeah.
On in any one move to actually win the game.
Yeah.
So just to put into perspective how just violently excessive that is.
There's if I draw that card on the field and you have nothing to block it, concede now. Or I'll just say I win.
Yeah.
There were some times when I was playing the second half of the game, because for whatever reason I won't get into, you get the Ouroboros card in the second half of the game, and it's still the same strength as it was in the first half of the game. And I was just like, in that Dominoes gif I kept sending you, Mike, just BAM! Slamming it down for like next to no summoning power. It was like, what's gonna happen? Are we just gonna... I think I ended up using that card against the very, very, very final boss of the game. It was like, chef's kiss. This is the way how to end the game. Obnoxiously powerfully.
So I guess to kind of go through the rest of the game here. So basically, you're kind of trapped in this cabin here until you manage to beat the main character. This character you're playing with. He reveals his shape to you and his name, and a couple other things happen, and basically at this point, like, it kind of like, because you're not actually trapped in this game, you are playing this game. You basically your character you are in reality is the character at their computer playing this game. Mm-hmm. And has like a camcorder that he's recording this on that you're seeing, because like when you actually beat him, like you hear somebody else who's like spoken up for like the second time ever, so you kind of forget it happens. He's like, oh, I think I did it. I did it. And then, like, in his excitement, he, like, knocks over the camera. Mm-hmm. And then he reboots it, and you can watch all of his old videos of, like, hey, I run, like, a card game YouTube channel. And then he gets I think, like, it's just something he gets sent in the mail. Or he, like, finds it, like, no, he finds it at a, like, a garage sale or something. A pack of cards for a random card game he's never heard of called Inscryption. And one of the cards in this pack, and it's like the cards you recognize from playing the game. And one of the cards is actually like, coordinates. And then he goes into the middle of the woods where the coordinates are, and digs up the old floppy disk with Inscryption on it. And you're like, oh no. This is bad. This is not good. And then after all of this, something weird happens, because you actually, when you first put it in this game, this character wasn't able to select new game. He could only select continue, mm-hmm. and pick up being stuck in the cabin that we talked about. But now he can select new game. And all of a sudden, it starts dropping this lore on you that there's like, oh, there are 4 champions of these different cards, and they are the masters of these cards. And one of them you definitely recognize as the guy you've been playing cards against. The other 3 are like 3 new characters that you pretty quickly, I think, if you hadn't picked it up at this point, it's pretty clear that like the other 3 characters of these 4 champions of the cards, mm-hmm. of Inscryption are the talking cards that have been like telling you how to beat the cabin guy.
Yeah.
And so you're like, wait, what happened here? And then all of a sudden, like, it goes from like this weird PS1 like kind of dark low poly 3D situation to like it's like Earthbound, and it has like chiptune music.
Yeah, I would say like
moving
Earthbound is very apt. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like you move. There's like a world map like Pokemon or something. Like it's so. Yeah, so we're firmly in Act 2 here. So, and again, I've been talking for a little bit. So Ray, speak on Act 2 for a bit here.
The thing I like about Act 2 is it actually becomes a deck building game. The game just says, here is your deck. Don't worry, we're not a roguelite anymore, where, the creature in the first act would just kill you and you'd have to start from square one. By the way, that first act has a lot of pretty decent jump scares. I've watched a decent amount of horror movies in my time. Snap suspenders. But this game made me jump twice. This game made me jump.
Like when he grabs the camera, when he's trying to grab the camera from you, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, what's about to happen? And so on and so forth. Anyways, you get your actual deck, you get to build it, you're in charge of your own destiny, and if you lose a battle while in this deck building portion of the game, nothing happens. It's just like, okay, do you want to try it again? Or you want a different card? It's up to you. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, I like this. I actually think Act 2 was my favorite part of the game, of the entire game. Because I like I would like a endless mode of Act 2, honestly.
Interesting, yeah.
Where I'm constantly in control of my deck, where the loss of not being able to continue forward is they just ask you to try again. And the loss of like the current endless mode is, it kicks you back to the very, very beginning, so it becomes a roguelite again. And it's fine. I respect if Act 2 never actually becomes like an endless mode, perfectly fine. Because Act 1 is definitely a lot more memorable because it was you got a lot more Fiero when you were finally able to beat the monster that had been tormenting you and killing you. Oh, I want to talk to you about this. Going back to Act 1 real quick. Every time you die, you get to make a card based on a sigil, your power stats, and you get to give it a name. I made some busted fucking cards.
Are you sure that was a good idea?
Yeah, so when you finally fight the monster, at the very end of Act 1, they're like, okay, I'm using all those cards you created against you. I'm like, oh no! And here, oh no, my comeuppance! And you're just...
let me just set this petard right down here. Oh boy.
It definitely made me reconsider, like, when I saw that happen, I should have known that was going to happen. I'm smarter than this. I should have seen that coming.
It was a very, very cool moment.
When it did happen, I really rethought, like, should I just delete this save file and just redo this with this knowledge in hand? Because I made some broken-ass cards that are coming my way. But no, the trick was to just win faster. That was the trick. That was the only way.
Exactly. Time is of the essence.
Yeah.
So yeah, Act 2. So the really cool thing is that in addition to like this total like audio, visual change, like you also get, you see that like the cabin guy had his own mechanic. Then these three other characters have their own entirely different cards, mechanics, and systems that are in play. So you kind of start to learn to balance all of these things, and as you go through and go into each of their areas and like complete little quests and challenge them and defeat and beat them. Then I don't know if you start, but this is also where I can't remember if I think there might be a couple of breaks in Act 2 to give you some more camcorder stuff because the character who is actually playing the game, he actually starts trying to reach out to like the company that made this and was like, hey, he tries to reach out to the developer, and it's like, hey, I think this game is made by like a Casey at your company. Is this a real thing you guys made? And he's not. He kind of hits dead ends, and then someone from the company shows up at his house unannounced, and is like, "Hey, can we have that?" You should give that to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's clear it's like not exactly the most formal kind of situation.
The woman in sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very. This is when it gets very like Blair Witch.
Mm-hmm.
With like the documenting of like the weird things that are happening, so it's cool. So this is kind of happening on the side here. You also, I think, start to find artifacts in the game of like the person who made this and like their story. Like, because I think I only found one of them, but I found just like somebody's like driver's license just in the game. Like,
yeah,
I
saw that as well.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, this is bad. This isn't supposed to be here.
Are we? If you're talking about Act 3, because you have to be at this point.
Yeah, we're moving to that now. Yeah.
Act 3 goes places. Mm-hmm. It actually is where like the game wasn't really, in my opinion, a creepypasta before, but Act 3 goes out of its way to say like, nah. We're aiming for the creepypasta crowd. Sit down, have a seat, have a drink.
Oh yeah, because this is when this kind of explains a lot. Because basically now you're being tortured and forced to play cards with one of the other champions, the computer guy. Mm-hmm. He has another name, but I call him the computer guy.
Yeah.
Cabin guy is nowhere to be seen. The other champions are nowhere to be seen, and there are a couple things happening here because his mechanics are a little bit different. But again, you are eventually you get to get up and move around his table and move around his little room to solve puzzles for him. Honestly, it's weird. You see some of the props from the first act, like just scattered in a closet or the side of this room. That was freaked out. That freaked me out.
Really, the room to the left,
like the door.
Yeah,
and I was just like, ugh. But so basically, the computer guy is. I would just want to cover this real quick so we can kind of get to the bigger picture here. But the computer guy is tricking you into completing Inscryption and uploading it to the internet based on like the different boss fights. Because and these are like you get some really interesting mechanics where you're like inventing rules in the game and then breaking them. It starts pulling like cards generated from your Steam friend list.
That was cool.
So I'm pretty sure I showed up in Ray's game probably.
You did.
Ray probably showed up in mine, which was very cool.
You did show up in my game with a. I think it was something really messed up. I think it was a 7-5. They just start stacking. It's like you just can't win against your friends.
I don't come to mess around. I came to duel.
One of my friends came in with like an 11-3 and snipe. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh Christ.
They're just like, I've decided your fate is to lose.
That is very funny. But at the same time, I guess we should kind of get to the epilogue is where a lot of this stuff kind of folds in, because I think there's another camera break in the middle of Act 3, and then you start to see that like the guy who's been playing this game is not doing well. No. Like he thinks he's hearing things at night. There are like a bunch of glitches happening in like the camera feed history. There's like he's filming secret codes. He's like laughing maniacally in front of like the scale that you recognize from the table of playing cards. Things aren't going great.
No.
You also start to get the inclination that hey, this this game might have Satan on it. Just because he also the player tries to figure out who this Casey person was, because the game company doesn't know or isn't saying.
Right.
And he finds their mom, and they say that she killed herself, like in development or like while trying to make this, and it's definitely not a point to be missed about how, awful making games can be sometimes.
Yeah, subtle, as some would say.
It sounds like she had a really pretty fucked up and bad boss at her office, and it was just but like then you realize that like oh no, there might be Satan on this thing.
This game's full of the Satan.
Yeah. So then I guess just when like computer guy kind of reveals his plan that like, hey, you finished making the Satan game, we're gonna upload this to the internet so everybody can have it and serve our dear Lord. The other 3 champions from Act 2 crash into this game all of a sudden and stop the computer guy from like completing this upload. It's very dramatic. Basically, cabin guy rips his head off. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And then this is honestly like my favorite kind of the epilogue, I guess we want to call it. This is like my favorite act of the game because basically the champions are trying to decide what to do while talking to like you, the player character, to be like, hey, there's some dark shit on this disc that terrifies us.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? And correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it plays out is like the I forget her name, but the champion of the dead basically says
Grimoria.
Yeah, Grimoria. She says we have to delete it.
Yeah.
And starts the deletion of the game.
Yeah.
And for the rest of this game, there's like a progress bar of the deletion that you show. And as you get further into the epilogue, it progresses farther. You play a little bit of Inscryption against her. And I really loved this act just because like it was really melancholy because they're like, we're getting deleted. Let's just get one good game of cards in before we
disappear
forever.
Yeah.
And we contend with trying to delete whatever is on this disc, whether or not that's even possible.
Mm-hmm. I think what most people will remember about this part, and this is like hyper spoiler Omega territory, is when each one of the scribes, as they were, when they start noticing that like certain parts of the world are getting so far deleted they can't continue on with their game of cards. They all just offer you a parting handshake saying "good game," basically.
It's so good.
Grimoria offers her hand that says "good game," and then she disappears.
Because like each time, like I loved this scene because each time like a boss battle shows up in Act 1, like all the trappings around the cabin guy, like his like the fog rolls in, like the weird cobwebs come down, and like he puts on a mask, so he's like, I'm a scary guy.
Yeah.
Like it has a lot of extra trappings that come up for this boss battle, and Grimoria, like a bunch of pirate cannons roll in, and she puts on like a pirate hat and is like, "Yar, it's me," and then all that gets deleted instantly, and she's just like, I really like that boss battle. Well,
yeah, she had a whole setup going.
And then she just shakes her hand and vanishes into the ether.
You get to fight the other guy whose name I'm still not going to reveal because I when I found out what that was, I'm like, okay, that actually makes more sense in context.
Yes, it does.
It makes a lot of sense in context.
Toss a coin to your spoiler.
You defeat that thing and even they are like they're taking it back. They're like, you really were a good card player. I'm sorry, I was like such a dick the entire time.
Yeah, and like the scale gets deleted.
Yeah,
because throughout this whole game, like you keep track of like who's gonna win, who's winning, who's losing by like the scale like like a scale like the justice scale. You know, there's like points on each side, and it gets deleted. So it's like, what? And he's just like, let's just play.
Yeah, he says points don't matter.
A few more hands in. The points don't matter. It's just like, it's really like, and it's really bittersweet. Like it's like a note I was not expecting this game to hit, and I did not think would work. To be like, for this character who was like clearly the antagonist of Act 1 to be like, to turn around and be like, man, this is sad. It was really fun, like just a really great turn, and then so for that to happen, and then to like the scale to be gone, it's like that, like all of the crazy things, no matter what's been happening in this game, the scale has always been there. It is always there. So when it's gone, you're just like, oh, like the gravitas of like what is happening here sets in, and it's and then like the table disappears, like.
The very last one, the very last scribe, who you should really play the game to find out on your own. They have what could only be described.
Oh my God, it's the Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
That was the best.
So fucking sick.
That was so hardcore. Listen, Dan McMullins, is that your name that made this game? You didn't have to go that hard, but goddamn, I appreciate you went that hard.
Absolutely did not have to go that hard, but it is so fucking sick.
It was rad. But that last scribe, they were too invested, and they were so stuck up on like fighting against fate that they're like, no, I have to, before I go, at least shake your hand, and they don't make it in time. And they were so obsessed with just trying to push back against it, even to the point where they created their whole card game winning against all the conventions, winning against all the rule points. It wasn't even a fair setup for you. They couldn't even at the end just give you like a good game just to show that they were a good sport about it. That I felt was like, yeah, that hit the hardest for me, because
yeah,
you have to at least at the very end of like the day, like a work day or something like that. Let's say you're pissed off at your coworkers. You're gonna come back the next day and you gotta like make up to them at some point, or talk to HR and get them fired. You know, you do you.
Don't comment.
But you have to at the very least just say like, well, we're all in this together at the end of the day, right? Let's try and make peace. And this scribe couldn't make peace at the very end before they faded away. And then the game gets just chaos. It just turns into chaos from there.
Yeah, and so then it kind of reverts to like the 2D, you know, Super Nintendo style thing.
Oh yeah.
And it just says like, "Hey, go up."
They're talking about the old data. The old data that you must never look at, and the wood carver tells you you shouldn't look at that, but you're going to anyway, so you might as well go ahead.
And then it just starts to glitch out. You see, it cuts to the camcorder footage of the actual player character, like destroying the computer. And just it glitches out. And then I think the last thing you see is the camcorder showing the player character like the next day or something. Fine, alive, everything's okay. Someone knocks at the door. He answers and is shot.
Yeah.
And killed. Like point blank.
Yep.
By the same person who visited earlier asking for the disc. They walk in, presumably take it, and walk out, and that's it.
This is an in and out maneuver, people. Here's how we capture the flag. You bring the warthog in, you dismount, you grab the flag, you mount up again, you pull out. Exactly.
Nick gone in 60 seconds.
There are procedures here, people. Are we gonna be professionals or are we gonna be amateurs? What's it gonna be? I dug it. I dug this game a lot. I dug it more than I thought I would. It took a lot longer than I thought it would too. If you go to howlongtobeat.com, it says, "Oh, you know, the average player takes 12 hours." I have 23 logged in, so either I'm an idiot,
Yeah.
which is possible.
No.
That's on the table, or I just failed a lot at the Act 1, which is also possible because oof. One of the bosses is called the Angler, and the first time I encountered the Angler's gimmick, I'm like, "Oh, you son of a!"
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm like, oh, here, have this squirrel. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else I have to say. I think, like, I adore this game. If you've listened to this and haven't played it, I mean,
You should still play
you
it.
might just be one of our listeners who doesn't play a lot of games, and that's fine. I think this is a very, I just adored how, like, I mean, there's so many cool moments that happen in this game that we totally did not even talk about. Like when the last part of Act 1, you fight the moon.
Yeah.
And the moon card is a card, because you have 4 slots that you can play cards in. The moon takes up all 4 slots and goes and like 2 rows, which is it's terrifying to see. It's insane. It's such a great moment. Like,
I like how the moon attacks. It's just the entire card just bam hitting your entire table.
yeah.
That's fun. Also, before we end, did you know that this game, I only learned this about before we started podcasting. Did you know this game had a whole ass ARG attached inside of the game?
I did.
So
I haven't looked into it too much to see like what the conclusion is, but yes.
I can send you the video that is the ultimate conclusion of it.
Yes, please do that.
But there
Please,
are
God,
so many different things hidden in this game that you and I just never encountered. I'm talking like whole sentences, whole paragraphs, whole videos. There's a ton of things in this game that's like, if you are dedicated enough to find all these hidden messages, here's what it is. And I'm on the Google, there's a whole open public Google Doc documenting what people found. And so some of the ARG is actually physical in the real world, as in there was a real world floppy disk buried somewhere.
No, don't do that. What have we just learned? Don't do that.
And some fool put it in their computer not knowing what they just did, and
that's so good.
The game kept going. Like, I don't know what to say about a game developer that has that much dedication to like their indie game, but that's easily like top 5 game of the year to me if someone like goes above and beyond and the game plays well. Who else is going? Battlefield 2042? Not to shit on the people working at DICE, but come on now. Come now. Let's have a conversation.
If it's not clear, I don't know exactly when that will be happening, but this is my game of the year. This is just an incredible story told in an incredible and really interesting story told in really interesting ways. And the game itself is also just really freaking fun to play. And just all of those, it's just like, all of those things just combined so perfectly just to, in like a really tight, memorable, like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, just as soon as you start to get like, maybe feel like a section is a little tedious or is overstaying its welcome, it throws you something. Like, it gives you some kind of break. You get a jump scare. You get like, it's so good at keeping you like on your toes. Like, it's what
I'm sending you a Discord image as part of the ARG. Some people were given real life GPS coordinates to dig up something.
I'm trying to pull it up now. Oop. Yup, that's a... Oh, no. No, 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 no.
Oh no! Oh no! 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 It actually was a really cool ARG. It looks like it lasted for about 2 months. It took to finally solve the entire thing, which
That's
is
really
pretty
cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, they created a whole Discord server about it. I'll send you the video after we're done recording, because
Yes.
you need to view this one by yourself.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think we ended there.
Yeah, good game. You should play it. It's on sale
Yeah.
as of the recording of this for like $15. That is a steal.
I basically all I'm gonna say during Game of the Year, and Josh is gonna be annoyed by this, so preemptively get ready to laugh about that when you hear it. I'm just gonna say, Inscryption is my Game of the Year. I told you why I liked it on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. If you haven't played it, I'm not saying another word. And when, yeah, that's basically gonna be it. I feel like this is one of those games where everyone tells you, like, I think it absolutely lives up to the hype that you probably have built up in your head about this thing. Because I was hearing some buzz from people I trust, and I was blown away. This game is so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is
one of those I wish I could forget and go back and replay.
This definitely feels like an Undertale situation type of here.
Yeah.
Where indie dev went above and beyond and might have created one of the best games ever, accidentally. Or purposely. This feels like it was totally purposeful.
Whoops, my bad.
Oops! Looks like I accidentally created a banger while you guys were looking.
While you were sleeping. Well, hey. On that note, hey, thanks for talking about the Game of the Year with me, Ray. I had a great time.
Specifically the game of the year.
It's called Inscryption, and you should definitely check it out. It's it's really cool.
And if you want to check out more videos or thoughts about what our game of the year will be, you should go to our website, which is unscriptedgaming.com. You can go to our YouTube channel, same thing, Unscripted Gaming 2.0, or you can just go to any place where you get your podcasts at. Obviously, you're listening to this podcast, so you did the right thing. But if you're one of the like handful of people that watches the videos and not like the dozens of people that listen to our podcast, you could go to any podcatcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud apparently, and I think Josh set us up with Spotify. Oh dear, you could go to Spotify and listen to us.
Oh me, oh my! The untold dozens of you. Yes, that's fair. Well, again, on that note, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, folks. My name is Mike.
My name is Ray.
We'll see you next time. Peace.